Hey guys, well, I'm at it again. I came up with a new serpentine design that involves kind of offsetting one of the waves, and I kind of like it. I did it in a couple different ways. You may see my notes here. The one at the top, this one here, you can see there's a bigger gap between this row and this row. And I'm designating it as 1 3/4. And that's because from the lowest point to the next lowest point, and I'm not sure exactly where I measured this from. It looks like I took the measurement here, but you can take the measurement from your starting point. So let's see. So from this starting point here of this first wave to say this starting point of the first wave of the second row, it looks like it's closer to 2. So this second example then, the gap is about 1.5 inches. So between the lowest point of the first row, the first serpentine of the first row, and the first serpentine of the second row is about 1.5 inches. And that gap is a little bit better, I think. I felt like this one would have too much looseness in here, maybe. I mean, this is linen, the Robert Kaufman linen, so it's kind of stretchy anyways. I didn't want them too close because I want to designate, you know, I want these to stand out on their own. But I'm still not sure about that either, because then the third one, the third example, the distance is 1 1/4. Let's see, bottom of there. Actually, it looks like I started down lower, but it should have been 1 1/4. Like I said, I was measuring like out here instead of here when I first started. But just to give an example, I started a new row, and this would be like my very first serpentine of this row. So the first one is usually lower, and the distance between those two lowest points you could see is 1.5. So it's just like, it's going to be just like this one up here when I stitch my second serpentine, when I stitch this one. I'm kind of leaning towards 1.5, definitely not 1 3/4 or 2 inches, whatever this is, it's too big. So I'm contemplating between these two. See if I could show them both, kind of this out of the way. So you can see this distance and this distance are quite a bit different. This is closer to like the 1 inch that I wanted originally on just single serpentines. So yeah, so I'm gonna show you from start to finish how I started from the top. This pin here is representing my basting line that I had to make to start lining things up from the beginning. It's just easier. So here's just a new piece of scrap fabric, and I'll zoom in a minute, but I actually started stitching this and explaining it, and I didn't have my microphone on. I can't tell you how many times I do that, but the first basting stitch that I talk about is this top one, and that's something, like I said, that we all stitch, you know, on our quilt. So that's the first thing you do, but then you have to stitch a second basting line, and that's what you see here, this long 1-inch stitch length basting line. So let me zoom in on that. For this basting line, you want to measure from this top basting line, and the length of this measurement depends on whether you want to make thick leaves or thin leaves. And I'm calling these things here leaves. I don't know what else to call them. But this, what you're seeing here, is what I'm calling the thick leaves. And that one actually looks a little dark. So let me, I mean, a little light. So let me darken that a little. Okay. So, and then the thinner leaves will be like a 1/4 inch thinner. So you won't have this part up here. They'll just be skinny. And that's what I'm going to do on this one, because to be honest, I haven't tried thin ones yet. So I hope my formulas are right for the thin ones. So since I'm doing the thinner leaves, I'm going to follow this line here. It says to put the 1.5 inch mark on the ruler. So the 1.5 inch ruler mark, put that on the first basting line. So I'm going to use this long arm ruler, and 1.5 is right there. And I'm going to put it right on that basting line, the 1.5 mark. And I like to put it right along this vertical line as well, so that this here, this part of the ruler, is spanning this vertical basting line. So let's see, 1.5, okay. And then butt the back of the foot to the ruler. Okay. So the back of the foot goes up against the ruler, and then once it's back, it's butted against the ruler, you'll want to go ahead and engage your horizontal channel lock if you can, you know. So, and that's just so I can make my tie-ons and everything easily. And so then you go ahead and you know, you pull up your bobbin thread, and then to make my tie for this horizontal line, I just use my needle up, needle down, and I make just a really loose tie. So down, down, and that's about it. That would be my tie. And then after you've made that, then, you know, after you've made your tie on, then you just go ahead and stitch your basting line, and it's 1 inch in stitch length. So I go along and stitch that. Okay, and then make the same kind of loose tie at the end. And then disengage your horizontal channel lock because you're done with that. And I'll just I'll try and take it out, the tie that I made, but it may not come out. So then you'll make your first serpentine line that you see here. And to do that, you want to make sure that you put your stitch length to whatever you use. I use 12 stitches per inch and a speed of 9, and that's coast regulate on a gamma. So, and yes, I do use coast regulate even though I'm using a ruler. I just like it better because then your very first stitch when you start is the same length as the rest of the stitches. You don't have to worry about it being too long, you know, as it comes out of point or as you're starting out. And a speed of 9 really isn't that fast. So there's plenty of time to stop your machine, at least for me, there is, when I use coast regulated with these settings. So the first thing you want to do is, and this is where it gets interesting, that's why I had to write this down, because there's different alignment points depending on which step you're doing. And believe me, I've edited this so many times. So bear with me. I think there's no mistakes in it. So then for this first serpentine line, we take our ruler and it says to align the first valley row on this second basting line. So what's the first valley row? Well, when we look at the ruler, I'm going to try to put it down so that we don't see the reflection. Okay, that might be okay. So this is our valley and these are our peaks, right? So it says to align the first valley row. That's what I'm calling this row here. Okay. On the basting line. So you're going to find throughout this tutorial that I'll call things by whether they're in the location of a valley or whether they're in the location of a peak. So I have the first row of the valley, or first valley row. Here's the second valley row, or second row of the valley. And here's the first row of the peak. And yes, they're the same row, but they're in different locations, you know. That's why we have to be careful which one we're talking about. And so this is the first row of the peak, and this is the second row of the peak. So, and then these down here, I kind of use two at some points. I don't really have names for them, but we could call them rows 3 and 4, but you know, they are in relation to this other wave. So I guess I could still call this a valley and this a peak. So at any rate, it says to align the first row of the valley on this baseline. So we'll go ahead. And remember, I want to, if you saw my previous videos, I like to start on this vertical line here. And I only stitch from here to here because that's all I can span. And it's just easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and align this at the same time while I'm aligning this point on the basting line here. So right about there. So I have my vertical line on the vertical and the first row of the valley is on the basting line. So down here too, so I'm going to kind of use this as a pivot point and pivot this so that these are also on the basting line, these valleys, these two. So once that's done, then it says to butt the front of the foot to the ruler. So we take the front of the foot now and we hold the ruler and kind of butt the front of the foot to the ruler. And then it says engage the horizontal channel lock. So once it's nicely snug up against the ruler, I engage the horizontal channel lock. And that's just to make it easier on me to make my tie on, you know, pull up my bobbin thread and make my tie on, because that's what it says next. Then, of course, pull up your bobbin thread and make your tie on. So I can just kind of move this out of the way, and I can go ahead and do a needle down, needle up. I can even just sweep this under to get the bobbin thread, just so I don't have to move it. And then I'll hold these two, do a needle down, and then you want to make sure that your in-coast regulator, regulate whatever you want to use with ruler work. And then I'll just go back and forth and, you know, with small stitches and do my tie on. Or you could do needle up, needle down several times to do your ties. Or if your machine has a tie, mine has a tie, but I never use it. I just go back and forth. So you just, you know, go like that. And you want to kind of end up on the same vertical line, because that's what we're going to be lining up with. And it looks like I'm on it. If not, just do a needle up and then needle down and get yourself right on. And remember, our horizontal channel locks are still on. So then it says to pull up your bobbin thread, make your tie on, then butt the front of the foot to the ruler again. I should have said butt the ruler to the foot, because the foot is stationary now. So take the ruler then and just, you know, butt it up against there. It's not, needles down and horizontal channel locks are on and everything. So it makes it real easy to just line up this first row again of the valley with the basting line. And then once that's done, you know, you would disengage your horizontal channel locks and stitch this serpentine, right? But I always come here before I even disengage the horizontal channel locks. I get my fingers in position, you know. So my thumb is here right on the edge. And I've been really liking this ruler because it's more comfortable for my thumb. And by putting it on the edge here, I make like a slit kind of in my finger, you know, in the skin of my finger. But that is really helpful for me because it's partly on top and partly on the side of the ruler. And it helps me to gently push up against the ruler. And I'm off to the side. You could see my hand is kind of slanted off to the side. And my ring finger is in this valley here. I think I moved it. But these two fingers are on top holding the ruler down here. This one presses more, I've noticed, presses down. And then this ring finger is in the edge, just like my thumb is. But I don't really press the ring finger forward until the needle gets down there, of course. I'm mostly pressing forward with my thumb here. So let's see, was I here? Oh, I think I was here. I was wondering why I was so uncomfortable. This is where I have my thumb, not here. That's too close. Ah, that feels so much better. I was wondering, I thought, is it already hurting? Okay, so so there you go. So, and now once my fingers are in place and I'm definitely pressing down with this finger, I undo my horizontal channel locks. I already did my ties, and then I just go ahead and I stitch this. And I stitch it to this line here. And I know you can't see it, but let me do a needle up, and I'm going to have to get my bobbin thread back up since I made a mess over here. I'll see if I can pull out what I did. Oh well. We got 100 ties in there. All because I forgot to put my microphone on. Okay, so let's align this again. The first row of the valley on the basting line. So I would stitch that. It would be like this. And I would stitch that all the way down to there. And then I'd pause it with needle down. And however it stops, like say I overshot it, then I line it up again in the same manner with this line to the left of the needle. The needle would be down. And then so this same line that was over there now gets lined up here, you know, in the same manner. And I line up these lines again, pivot how I have to pivot, and then stitch this. And I might be able to just go all the way to the end there. And then I do my tie off. And so then that's my first serpentine. On the second serpentine, then, that's where you have to decide if you're going to do a thick one or a thin one. And I'm not sure if I edited that out of the video, but you can kind of see the width here is like at its widest point is somewhere around 3/4 or so. These are the thick ones. So the thinner ones are going to be more like a 1/2 inch at their widest part. So like this whole 1/4 inch is cut off, so they'll be real thin, and that's what we're going to make over here. So, and I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not, but I haven't even made the thin ones yet. So I hope my instructions are right. If I showed this part of the instructions at all earlier in the video, I don't think I did, but I might have. I edited this part of it. So this part is the new part that I think is correct, but we'll see. I may have still made a mistake. But so you want to decide if you want to make thick leaves or thin leaves. And I'm making thin leaves, so we'll go right to these instructions. And it says to align the edge of the ruler peak with the previous peak. So, you know, here's my ruler peak here. And this, the edge of the ruler peak is right here. And here is our previous peak, meaning, you know, our previous stitching. So this is the one we're looking at here. Align the edge of the ruler peak with the previous peak. So we'll go up here and I'll try and line that stitching up with the edge, and like you can barely see it, but here's the thing. You can kind of get an idea, at least on this run here. You can still kind of use your basting line because notice I haven't taken it out yet. So you make sure your vertical line is lined up over there, just like before. But then you can kind of see that this second row, like of the valley, is now lining up with the basting line. Remember when we first made the basting line, it was the first row because we were down here stitched. So now when we move it up, it pretty much the second row should be, the second row of the valley should be on the basting line. But of course, we're not going to have this basting line when we do the rest of our stitches. Just kind of got, but at least when you first start out, it'll be a helper for you. And then after a while, you kind of get the gist of it. You kind of get with the groove, so to speak. So we're all lined up, and after you line it up, then you slide the ruler to the right. It says, slide the ruler to the right till the first row of the peak. So the first row of the peak is this row right here. So this row right here, top row of the peak. When this row hits the valley side, so this is the valley, and this is like the side of the valley. When this row hits that, that's when you can stop sliding. And it's about a 1/2 inch that you slide it here. So slide the ruler right till the first row of the peak hits the valley side. So, and also you can use this basting line to help you keep straight as you're sliding. But like I said, you're not always going to have it. But you have other sides, you have other peaks. You have this one that you can watch for it to hit the side of the valley as well. So between the two of them, you could kind of keep yourself straight. So we'll go ahead, and if you look here, you'll look at this line, and if you've gone about a 1/2 inch, you're good. But I'm going to keep my eye on just like this part of the row until it hits the valley, because that's what the instructions say. So we'll go ahead and slide, and now you can see the stitching, and right about there I've hit the side of the valley, and even over here I've hit the side of the valley with this first row, and you can see it's about a 1/2 inch. So if I measure that, that's about a 1/2 inch that I went about. And what's kind of cool about it is, you see, I think you can see this sticking up. It is sticking out past the ruler about a 1/4 inch, maybe a scant 1/4. So if you look and see, like when we go to stitch, if you bring that up there and do a needle down, not just press, turn your hand wheel. I don't know if you can see that, but let me zoom in. Look how close my needle is to that. And that's something that it's a matter of choice. If you really want your needle to stitch exactly on that previous stitching at that point, because then your leaves will, close. I mean, you could move your ruler down a hair and, then when I lift my needle and come back, now when I go down, it's hitting exactly on that thread. But I always get nervous about that, because what if you overshoot it and then your stitching is below that, you know, that previous stitching? Then it looks bad because you have like a, you know, a circle there or an oval or whatever. So I always like to keep it, you know, about an 1/8, 16th inch away. So moving it that 1/2 inch and, you know, doing it till this hits the side of the valley, it does seem to work out. But let's see how it looks. Because like I said, I haven't done the thin leaf yet. And you could see the leaf here. You know, obviously not going to be that thin, but because this is going to stitch a 1/4 inch away. But it's going to be a lot thinner than the other ones, the thicker ones. You can see on my thicker ones, talking about this point right here, see how I left a gap there? Now see up here, I noticed I almost touched. And there it looks like I almost touched. But there I'm, you know, an 16th to an 1/8 inch away. And that just gives you grace, you know, to just keep it like that. This one it's a little wider. This one's a little wider. These are all wider on this row. So I must have placed that row a certain way, you know. These up here are really wide. Maybe I started to try to see if I could get closer. I don't know, just experimenting. So, but on this one, it is going to be pretty close unless I move the ruler or whatever. So let's start over again. Let's get it all lined up. And like I said, I can actually cheat a little bit and use the basting line to help me line up before I slide it. You could see my basting line is just above this because maybe I'm not up far enough. It is hard to see the edge when you're at an angle. At least on my machine, my camera's in the way and everything. So I'm kind of on the line. I'm just below it. And so then it says, you know, to slide it to the right. So I'm going to take it and slide it right until not this intersection, but just this side hits the valley side. So right about there. Okay. And I can test it and see where I think my needle's going to hit. And so once we slide it, it says to butt the front of the foot to the ruler and then engage the horizontal channel lock. Again, that's for me so I can make an easy tie on. So we're going to hold our ruler down in this manner and take our foot over to this vertical line. Now see, our beginning is not in a valley anymore. It's on this curve, so it's a little bit awkward. So once we get it there, butt it up against the ruler, I'm going to put my horizontal channel lock on. Okay. And then I have to make my tie on. So I know this might be cumbersome or, you know, waste time or what have you, but for me, I'll just pull this away like I did before and needle down, needle up. I'll go ahead and pull up my bobbin thread and needle down. and then I'll just go back and forth and make my tie on. Okay. And then I can just kind of pivot my ruler back, right? But I still need to check to make sure, because I basically did move my ruler. I'm still kind of a 1/2 inch, and I mean, it looks okay here and here. I still see like a very, very scant 1/4 inch sticking out there. So let's move my paper out of the way. So I think I'm good. I'm butted up against my foot. And remember, my horizontal channel lock is still on. So I'm going to get my fingers into position. And I probably should put that statement in the instructions to get your fingers into position, then disengage the channel locks. So my fingers are in position. I'll disengage the channel locks. Okay, and we're gonna go for it. This is exciting. Okay, and so the way I stopped, I overshot it as usual. My line is 1/16 of an inch to the left of the needle. So I'll take, now you could see it's this line in the valley is where I stopped. Well, that's the line that we're going to use. Even though we slid the ruler to the right, we have to line it up in the same manner as we've seen here. It's in a valley. This line is 1/16 to the left. So take this valley line, 1/16 to the left of the needle. And we're looking at our sides of our first row there. And I've noticed that even though I overshot it, on this ruler, there could be a slight inconsistency, or maybe it's just the movement of the fabric. I don't know. But instead of me being 1/16 to the left, I feel like, unless I have to pivot, let me see. Okay, I think I had to pivot because I wasn't lined up here. Let's see. This side is touching kind of. This side is not touching. So either I pivot to make it touch. There now it's touching like this one is. But I feel like the ruler needs to slide a hair. Okay. So now they're both touching in the same manner. And I can still see my scant. You can see here how close I got. That's cute. Totally different look. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to see if I can do it. And you'll get better, like I've been getting better with each one. So here we go. I'm going to try to go all the way to the end. Oh, that was hard for me. Okay. So, oh, that's cute. Now by me not trying to connect them, it just looks like 2 wavy lines. It really looks like a wave. Here, let me show it. I'll put my vertical channel lock on just to make my tie. Take it off. I could have left it on to get this up, but it's okay. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there it is. Yeah, I mean, if you try to touch, I don't know. It's a little scary, I think, if you try to touch. But you pros out there could probably do it. So now the only other thing that we need to discuss that's, different would be our next row. And I actually had to edit that. So if you saw this part of the instructions, disregard it because I kind of had to redo this part. So we're going to call this the first serpentine of your next row. Now remember, with this, these numbers here correspond to the spacing. So when I say put the ruler mark, put the 1.25 inch ruler mark on the lowest previous serp, it's going to give us a 1.5 inch spacing between our rows, like over here. Because remember, we're butting it up against the back of the foot. So it gets really confusing. So this distance and also this one up here, this distance between the lowest first serpentine, this is our first one, that distance to this distance is 1.5. Okay, so from here to there is 1.5 inches. But if we want our needle to go on that stitching line, okay, all of a sudden that distance, I have to move my ruler up, all of a sudden that distance, when we want to butt it up against the ruler, becomes 1.25 from this lowest serp to our next lowest serp. We have that 1/4 inch gap. So when I say, put your 1.25 on the lowest serpentine, the lowest part up here, that's why, because we're lining it up to the back of the foot, and it's going to give us a 1.5 inch distance between the lowest points. But then this up in here is going to be less than that, of course, because we've got this top one coming up later, So that's what I had to re-edit because I had my instructions wrong. So it says here to put the 1.25 inch ruler mark on the lowest previous serp using your regular ruler. That's the other thing. I went through all of the instructions here and I designated whether it's the regular ruler or the, I don't think I did it all the way up. No, I didn't. Darn it, I forgot. I will. I'll specify between regular ruler and wave ruler. I'll call it the wave ruler. But at any rate, I'm just going to show you on this ruler real quick because the other one's so big. But put the 1.25, so 1.25 inch right there on the lowest previous serp. So you're using your regular ruler. So here's my lowest previous serp. Okay, that was our first one we stitched. And 1.25 would go right on there. Okay. And then it says this will give us a 1.5 inch spacing between rows. You can also use 1 inch or 1.5 inch, which gives you 1.25 or 1.75 spacing respectively, if you want a narrower or wider spacing. And I also put down note, you can use the start point of that previous Serp as long as it's the lowest point, because who knows, like if you're using this ruler or a different ruler, or you're starting, you know, your wave at its highest point, you know, up here, maybe that's where you're starting. But you want to take this measurement from the lowest point. That's why I'm glad I started in a valley, you know. So at any rate, so you put that on the 1 1/4, and then you butt the back of the foot to the regular ruler. So I'm going to have a hard time butting this to this ruler. So I'm going to go get the other ruler. So the 1 1/4 is right there where my fingernail is. We'll put that on the lowest Serp, and I'll try again to line up my verticals. Okay, and then it says to butt the back of the foot up against the ruler and engage your channel locks. Okay. And the horizontal channel lock, and then, you know, pull up the bobbin, make your tie on, and then when we're done with the tie on, then we butt the wave ruler to the front of the foot. Okay, so we'll get to that in a minute. So let's do our tie. So once the channel locks are on, we don't need this ruler anymore. So go ahead. Okay, and I want to be right on the center there. Okay. And I probably could have taken my basting line out. I think I'll be okay. Am I going to hit it? No, I'm not going to hit it. So this one's going to stitch a 1/4 inch away. So I'll just kind of go up a 1/4 inch. And then the other one, it's going to stitch at the most, what did I say it was? Like 3/8. So another 3/8 would put us kind of right on the basting line. So then the basting line then is about 1 inch from up there. Uh-oh, my battery's going. 1 sec. So yeah, then it'll be about a 1 inch spacing. It just seems so big. I thought maybe I'd have to redo my instructions again, because if you recall, the wider Serp, you know, would have made it tighter. So I wonder, since I'm using the narrower, you know, the second one, or the leaf, whatever I'm calling this, since that's so much narrower, it's a 1/4 inch narrower. So I wonder if I should go up 1 inch. So maybe I'll do this one at the, you know, total 1 1/2 total, and then I'll do the next one at 1 1/4, because I'll never get done if I keep editing and changing and everything. And somebody may want it that much distance. I mean, you'll get done with the quilt quicker, right? So then let's get back. So butt back of, let's see. Regular root, engage horizontal channel locks. Okay. Did I pull up my bobbin thread? I did. Okay. Now I have to do my tie. So I'm basically just, I'm going to kind of pivot that to make my tie. Okay. Oh, I did already, duh. Here I am with another 100 ties. So my ties are made, and you can probably use your quilt to line things up as well. Like I have this black strip where I can see conveniently this intersection is on the black line there, the black and red intersection. So seam line, I should call it. So that would work. Okay. So I did my ties and then butt the wave ruler to the front of the foot, which is what I did. And then disengage the horizontal channel lock. Okay. So again, I should have typed in there to get your fingers ready. And then disengage it. Guess I have to edit it again anyways. God. Okay, and let's go ahead and stitch this row. Okay, so here's what happened. I messed up. And I figured I would just tell you what happened because I had to rip out this whole row. You could probably still see it if I turn the light off. I ironed it and everything and spritzed it with water. I took out the basting stitch. But here's what I did. I was, I had my ruler. I was holding my ruler. But when I got down here, and I might have to turn this light on. I'm not sure which way is better, but when I got down here, the ruler slipped, and it slipped like this, okay? So it was like, and I was looking at the black, this seam line. I was kind of using that to my advantage. So when it slipped, I kind of knew that it slipped, but when I went to realign it, I realigned it with this bottom line of this peak here instead of where it was supposed to be on the top line, because it was kind of like that, and I figured since I moved it, and so then when I brought it back over and realigned it, I realigned it like that. And I could have been looking up here and I would have seen that. Let me turn the light off again. I don't know if you can see it, but I would have seen that my stitching wasn't even a 1/4 inch away from this peak. That would have been my first tip, right? And I'm sitting here lining it up, and I even said out loud, I said, was it this row or was it the top row that I was lining the black seam line with? And I'm like, no, I think it was this one. No, it was not that one. It was this one here. So you could see how far off I was, So let's try that again. I don't know if it's that maybe these work good at first, but then not. Maybe the skateboard fabric is better. Maybe I'm getting weaker because my right hand is hurting. So I don't know. But let's try it again and I'll try to evaluate it better. Maybe I will put the skateboard stuff on. So again, I'm going to line it up, and I already know it's this top row of this peak. is where I'm lining it up with. I should remember that now after I screwed up. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back over, and I'm going to put my channel locks on, and I'll just pivot it down. There was no way I could have left that like it was. Okay, and I'll try to get back on and do a tie. Okay. So remember, this is my first serpentine, so it should be relatively easy as long as let's see, that one is not really on the black seam line. And I'm not always going to have a black seam line, but you might have other areas of your quilt that are helpful for you. So let me do a needle up. Okay, I am butted up against. So let me get my fingers into position and really going to press down here now so it doesn't slip. Undo my channel locks. Try it again. Okay, I didn't slip this time. It's exactly where it's supposed to be. And I did overshoot it a little. So let me line it up, this line, in the same manner, or possibly a little forward, because I feel like there's some inconsistency, just a little bit. Now you can see my gap here is above that black line. If I kind of scoot the machine, I don't know. I don't want to scoot the machine one way or the other. I'm just going to let it be where it needs to be. And then just readjust here and here. Go back down to the black line there. Because otherwise, if I try to pull the machine to get it to be in line here, then this next stitch is going to be inconsistent with the stitch before it. There's going to be, you know, a bad waviness there. So here we go. Okay. So I'm, you know, a good 1/4 inch below it. That makes sense because before I was lined up with the wrong line that was a 1/4 inch lower. So now I'm relatively straight. I'll put on my vertical channel lock and make a tie. Pull up my bobbin thread. And there you go. Take off my verticals. And now it's just a matter of repeating what I did on top. So it's just a matter of going back to the instructions then, because it says repeat as above for the second serpentine of your next row. So we're going to be stitching this one. So the second serpentine for thin leaves, align the edge of the wave ruler peak with the previous peak. So I did put in the word wave there. Okay. So the wave ruler peak, align it with the previous peak, but align the edge to this stitching. Okay. And let's see. Oh, conveniently, we have another mark down here. Oh, now it is lining up on the bottom line of the peak. No wonder I'm getting confused. I guess after you do it for a while, you might, you know, get better at it, but that's why I had to type it out. Okay, so you're lined up, and again, you have to slide the ruler to the right. Slide the wave ruler right. till the first row of the peak. So this is the first row of the peak, hits the side of the valley. So it's about a 1/2 inch. So we'll look down here and make sure we're going straight. And we're looking up here to see for this to hit that stitching on the side. So right about there, it hit. But that doesn't look right. Because see, we're only supposed to see a scant 1/4 inch sticking out there, and our serpentine is small. So I went too far. Because remember, I don't want to touch this. And I can see my serpentine is still small. I'm about a 1/2 inch, and I'm not really touching yet though. So what am I doing wrong? When I lined it up, let's see. I mean, was I supposed to go up higher? Okay, here's my vertical. I mean, if I lift it up a little bit, so it's above this black line, and I can kind of see, maybe I'll have to figure out a system so that I could see the line better. Maybe I should say to myself, when I can see the stitching just underneath this edge here, I can kind of see it, then that's pushed up enough. Because if I push it back down to where this is touching the black seam line, I all of a sudden don't see the stitching anymore. You know, because remember, we're at an angle. So, but I don't remember that happening on this one. So I don't know. I don't know what I did wrong here. So I see a gap. So let's slide it now. Let's watch the side of this. So I'll look down here and I'll see that I'm like a 1/16 of an inch above that seam line. Okay, there I'm up a little high. Okay. Yeah, isn't that interesting? It just seems like more, there's less sticking out now because this is up a little higher. So you do want to be cognizant of how you're going to intersect here. And like I said on that first one, you may want to bring it over and just, you know, dial your needle down. Okay, that's going to be closer than the first one we did. I mean, that's pretty darn close. I don't know why that would be. I could come up a hair more. So now I'm like an 1/8 of an inch above the seam line. So this row is about an 1/8 of an inch above this seam line. And I can see now that, you know, when I dial down, I'm going to have that 1/8 inch gap or 1/16 inch gap. I just don't want to get too close to it. Now I have to remember this. Okay, so let's then bring it over. That's our next step. Once we slid the ruler over, slide the ruler right, butt the front of the foot to the wave ruler, engage horizontal channel locks, make your ties, butt the front foot to the wave ruler again, disengage horizontal channel locks, and then stitch. So we're going to hold this down, butt this up. Remember, it's butting up now on the higher curve. I'll hold this. Oh no, I got to do a channel lock first. I'll do a channel lock, and then I'm going to just pivot it out of the way. I'm going to do a needle down, needle up. I just moved the ruler anyways. It doesn't matter. That was just to get my horizontal channel lock in so I can make my tie. Okay. And then we're going to put it back, and we have to line it up again. Now, remember I had 1/8 of an inch showing here, but more importantly, you know, I do want to look up here. Okay. It seems correct. I can't check it now because I've got my needle down, I got my ties done and everything. So I'll go over here, get my fingers ready, channel locks off, and we're gonna go for it. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I think maybe I'm gonna try the skateboard because it does feel like it's slipping. Oh dear. Okay. So I have a wider gap. So I guess I could have come down a little bit. Well, it looks like the ruler slipped. Look. It's supposed to be down there, and it slipped. So I am having a hard time once I get down to here. So that's okay. I'm going to try the skateboard stuff. So I'm going to watch this up here now, and we'll see if I can do this one better. Let me see. So I look pretty good there. These aren't going to be consistent now because I'm up too far right here. So I can pivot this down, you know, it's okay. There I have that scant quarter. I got that 1/8 inch, so I'm going to go for it. I really want to try more to get all the way to the end without struggling. So I don't know if my ring finger needs to move down more or not. Maybe I'll try that on this one and press down with those. Okay. So I got tighter there. I like my spacing. Okay. Vertical channel lock. I do kind of like that spacing. Let's see, what kind of distance are we talking here? Between, say, right here, we've got, well, if I do it, you know, just vertically, I've got 7/8. If I do it like this, you know, I've got a little bit less. And here, though, I have a little bit more than 1 inch. So I have like 1 inch and 1/8, a heavy 1/8, almost a quarter. So at this widest part here, vertically, I've got, you know, 1 inch and 1/8, inch and a quarter. So that was when I was thinking, you know, should I go up another 1/8 of an inch? But I didn't want to work in 1/8. Do I go up another 1/4 inch? I don't know. I think it's really nice. I really like it. but I don't know if I would be able to do this on a whole quilt. Maybe once in a while. I mean, for me, I'm going to go put some, I hate to do this, but I'm going to put some skateboard on here and I'll be back. Okay, so I have the skateboard stuff put on, and it is more secure, but you know, these things flick off, and that's what I didn't really like about them. But we'll just see if I do better. So this is our next row, so we're still down here. Put the 1.25 inch ruler mark on the lowest previous serp. So the regular ruler, 1.25 on the lowest. So let's move this up. 1.25. And I'm going to try to line it up with these marks here somewhat. And I could, again, I could try and use this, but my ruler base only comes to here, so I can't really, I could see up here though. You know, it's good enough. You don't have to be perfect. So, and then we take our foot, okay, and we butt it up against there, aligning the needle with the vertical here. Whoops, I'm hitting everything and messing everything up. Okay, and we butt that up and channel lock. Take that away. So we'll do a needle down, needle up, pull up our bobbin thread. Do our tie, get back on the vertical there. Okay, and then line this up in that valley there. It's kind of hard to see on the black. Now I can kind of use this top seam to help me a little. So, I mean, here I've got a very small amount. It's more than an eighth of red showing. I'm not sure how perfect that's going to be, but we're going to get our fingers in place and take off our channel locks and go for it. Okay, I don't think I moved it. I overshot it. As usual, I'll check the top. Okay. And oh, look at how much I have showing here. Is that my piecing? Because if I make it an eighth down here, I mean, that still looks okay up there. Yeah, I'm not sure. If I bring it here, it's going to go up even more. These look a little cockeyed. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure. So we're going to try not to be too OCD, but yet try to make it look good, right? So let's go for it. guess what? My cord got stuck towards the end. Oh God, it's always something. Okay, a vertical channel. Well, let's see. Yeah, we'll do our tie. Good enough, right? Well, then now for sure when we do our second serp there, we're definitely not gonna try to have them touching because I don't know how this one got so high there. I'm not sure. See, this one is higher or taller, I should say. I don't know what happened. Did I move it again? I'm not sure. But let's go for it. So now we're going back to our second serp. Okay, for thin leaves, align the edge of the wave. And remember, this is the one where I'm going to do it so that I kind of see, I just see the stitching. Okay, instead of like there, I'm going to like just bring it up just so I see it. That's going to be my system. And I can see all the sandpaper particles on here. And I think I'm breathing them in even. Great. Ugh. So, and then slide it until the side of that first row hits the side of the valley. So, do I have anything to line up with up here? Not really. I mean, I can see there's an eighth sticking out here, an eighth sticking out there. I'll just keep an eye on that, I guess. So I'm watching right here. Okay, and so about an eighth sticking up there. Okay, and I've got that scant quarter. If I dial down, ooh, I'm practically right on it. So in that case, I'm going to move up a hair. I think that's going to be better. Yeah, I'm still right on it. Let's move it up a hair. So now I'm closer to the black. Now the black has like a very scant eighth of an inch showing. We're going to go with it. So I moved my ½ inch over. And we're going to come over here. Oh, yeah, I just have to do the channel locks to get my tie. So I butted it up against channel lock. So I have to redo this anyways. So I'm an 1/8 inch of black showing because remember, I can't check this once I do my tie. And I could, like, I have tried it where I take this paperweight. It's actually a rock. Where is my rock? Where I've taken my rock. This is wrapped in duct tape and put it on there. It's nice and heavy. And then gather this up, you know, needle up, needle down, and then just fed this under. I have to come from the back to get my bobbin thread out. Do a needle down, and then I have to take my channel locks off. And then now is where it gets tricky because I don't really want to try, and I can try and put this under. See, but it always gets stuck right there. I'll just let it go. And if I try to do a tie on, my channel locks are off. So I'm going to go kind of left. Maybe I'll just do it like that. I won't try to. So that's 4 of them. That's good enough. And then I can take this off, put it behind me. And remember, my channel locks are off, so nothing moved. So let's see. I still got my 1/8 inch. Yeah, nothing moved because that rock is so damn heavy. I can't find my smaller ones, but maybe they wouldn't have worked as good. Okay, I think I like that. Okay, so I overshot it as usual, but I'm gonna now make sure that this other serpentine lines up there, that it looks like I have a nice 1/4 inch consistently around that. And then here, I'm going to try not to press too much on the foot because then I think that's when I get that crooked stitching. Now, what was it? Was it like that, I think? Yeah, I had like an 1/8 of an inch on the black. Now this one, remember this area is the funky area. I don't know what's going on here. I probably didn't press it right or something. I have my scant 1/4. I can't check it. It looks pretty good. Make sure I have enough cord here. I don't get the cord stuck. Got my fingers ready. I do feel more comfortable with this, but I'm gonna have to like rinse it or something to get the remnants off because I am inhaling them. I have throat issues. I was a smoker back in, I quit when I was 26, but still affects me. So that's, look at how close I got. Wow. Okay. So let's see if I can do it without looking at the instructions. So my next row, I have to measure down from here, and it's going to be 1.25 inches. And so I'm just going to use this ruler and put, seems like I have to slant it. Okay. I have to put the 1.25 inches on the lowest serp, which is right there. Line up everything. I gotta find a faster way to do this. I guess I just need better tools. And then bring this around to the back, butt it up, channel lock. I'm done with this. Get on the vertical and then just butt this right up against it. This line on the vertical. And now I don't really have much to go by here. So I guess I can just measure this. This is where these come in handy. You know, what do I have there? I got like a 1/2 inch, a scant 1/2 inch. So then The only one I can do though, so it was a scant 1/2 inch. My ruler base ends here, so this one's hard to even measure. I mean, I could do this one. That's kind of a scant 1/2. Maybe if I pivot it down a hair. If I hold that, maybe I can, I guess it's right. So then I'll get my fingers in position. Once they're in position, I'll take off my channel locks and go for it. Okay, so that was a scant 1/4 from there. So not a scant 1/4, a scant 1/2, duh. But now that I'm butted up against in this position, I'm exactly at a 1/2. So now down here, whoops, that's pretty good. Okay, fingers in position. It does move when I get down there because I don't feel like readjusting for just that little bit. So, okay, it's pretty consistent. But boy, I can sure see the speckles on there. I'm wondering about something. You know, these things. Okay, let me roll it across there, and I'm going to roll it across the bottom of the ruler. I didn't even put my vertical channel locks in. I'm my own worst enemy because I'm too OCD. Okay, so let me try and get this off. I'm tired of inhaling it. That's why I was so excited about those other ones. But who knows? So then on the back of this, I'm going to run this across it. I'll go that way. I think I got a lot of it off. Okay. Now I got to peel this off though. I don't want to be inhaling this crapola. Who knows what we quilters are inhaling. Okay, so I'm going to try again not to look at the instructions. So I have to go from the, let's see, oh, I have to line this up. Okay, so that I'm just seeing the stitch line here. Line up my verticals, let's move this down to get my ruler base under there. Okay, so let me move it up just a hair till I can just see the stitching lines. Okay, and then move it to the right till this hits the side of the valley. And I can already see my scant 1/4 and this hasn't hit yet. So I don't know, maybe I should move it up a hair. Okay, oh, this one's got to be pivoted down. Okay, that was the problem, I think. Let me go back down. Okay, so, but now this one's not hitting. You can kind of see if this line is still parallel to this, and it's not. So it looks like I have to pivot. Okay, so something's going on between these two, so I'm going to bring it back again. So let me bring it up till I just see the stitching all the way on top here. Okay, I guess I can measure this again. What do I have? It's a scant 3/4 there, and it's 3/4 there. So obviously it's not right. Okay. Okay. Do I have a 3/4? The only one I have is this one here. So you have to kind of slant it up, I guess. That's kind of a pain, because then it's not really accurate. And then if you do that, it slides under. Yeah, I don't know. Move it up a hair. So we'll move it over. Yeah, it seems like, let me check it. Okay, so that has to come up. I mean, I'm seeing more than a scant there, so let's see. This is touching, but this isn't. So that's interesting. So everything is right, but this is probably going to be right on. Yeah, it's hitting right on. So I'm going to move these up so that they're more like a full 3/4. We're going to go with it. So I'll bring it over to the vertical. Whoops, I just moved it. And put my channel locks on. And again, I can take my weight so I don't have to realign. And I'll pull out some more thread. Needle down, up. And I'll just grab it like that. Come off to the side. Got them both. Oh, it's the other one I never cut. Okay, needle down. And then I'd have to take off my channel locks, and I'll just do a regular, I'm going to try a regular tie where I'm just going to, or wasn't I going to put that under there? I'm going to just go for it, but I have to kind of crawl up. Okay. And so now, make sure I have enough cord. Take this off. And here we go. Ooh, that one touched. Did you see that? And did you see how I moved the ruler? That one touched. I overshot it. let's see, try to see if that's straight. And I can see my scant there. Let's check the 3/4. Well, I'm a heavy 3/4 there. Kind of heavy, not heavy enough there. But I can, wow, that was close. I kind of messed up that bottom one there. So yeah, that was close. I mean, it's looking good though. And remember, in the grand scheme of things, it's really going to be pretty. Let me turn the light off. You know, it's hard to see with the foot in the way, but it is pretty. This one almost is touching. This one is touching. And then this one got a little bit better. So our new row, we're 1.25 inches from the bottom, correct? So 1.25 inches. From the bottom. Oh, I'm going to hit the back of my foot, or back of my machine, so I have to roll it. So we come around to the back, put our channel lock on, get rid of this. Okay, line this up. Now, do we have any landmarks here? Like right here, I can see that the seam line kind of lands in the middle of these two rows. So let's just pivot that here. Okay, get my fingers in position. Okay, here we go. Okay, word to the wise. Remember to take off your horizontal channel locks before you start stitching, because I forgot to take mine off and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't ride up the ruler. I had to remove like, you know, 1/4 or 1/2 inch of stitching twice until I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, I have my horizontal channel locks on. So once you get your fingers situated, be sure to unlock the horizontal channel locks. And now also my little guides here, my cheats are really not, the seam line's not in the middle of the two anymore. Kind of like a scant 1/8 of the red is showing. So here we go. And now I'm kind of moving my pinky finger, or not my pinky, my ring finger here more than here, because I'm kind of losing control down there. So I'm kind of readjusting. So my fingers are in position and remove the channel locks. Okay, here we go. Okay. Oh, I'm right on. So let's see if it always feels like I still have to move it to the right. So I got a scant there, and kind of a scant there. So like I said, I'm going to move this pinky finger or ring finger down so that I have more control up there. Here we go. Okay. And I'll do my verticals. So wait, let's get back on verticals. And tie, verticals off. Yeah, I got to remember to take these channel locks off. Okay. So now if we remember without looking at our notes, we're going to take our ruler and is it the ruler? No, it's our wave ruler. And we're going to line it up and till we're just seeing the stitching on the edge, lining up my vertical. And what kind of a guide do I have here? I've got a 1/16 of my red showing there. And so let me scoot that down. Okay. And let's see what happens then when I slide it. I'm actually going to watch up here and down here to make sure I'm straight. Oops, my foot is in the way. Oops, now I can't slide it because of the sandpaper or skateboard. Okay, let's see, I got a scant of the red showing. And I think, let's see how I land there. It looks like it's going to land exactly on. Yeah, we don't want that. So let me move this up. I really want to see about my system here, because remember how I was saying I'm just looking to see this stitching. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe I need to, oh wait, no, let me think now. If I move it up more, yeah, I didn't see enough of the stitching. Okay, so then let me move that out of the way. It looks like I have to level my machine. Oh, it just wants to move back, doesn't it now? Okay, so let's see. In that case, my lower row here is right on the seam line, if that's the case, but I seem to have quite a lot of that showing. Yeah. So that's interesting. So let me slide it and see what happens. So I'm just below the seam line with this row. Okay, touching the line there and there, it's too high. Okay, maybe I need to move back. Okay, I'm touching there, and there, and I really don't have hardly any showing. So I was up too high. So it is kind of a juggling act. So now, if I bring this forward, now I'm where I want to be, like a 1/16, a tight 1/16 away. So I got just a hairline of the red showing, basically. Well, wait a minute. I'm not even a 1/2 inch. This one, I could touch a little bit more. Let me slide it a hair. Okay. I'm still on down here. You move that up a hair. And now, okay, I'm good. I'm like a 16th from that scant. So I'll go ahead and I'll move this over. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, it was now that I put my channel locks on because I'm trying not to look. So I'll put my channel locks on. I'm going to grab that rock so I don't have to do this aligning again. And I'm going to try to do this a little easier. Let's see. I can take it from the front and go to the back. Yeah, I can. Okay. Let me get my bobbin. Needle down, needle up. Take it like that. That'll work, I think. Okay. And then needle down. And remember, Lisa, now take off your channel locks. I'm going to slide this under. Oh, it went under this time. Yeah, it's not really tight under anything though. And I'll press down there. And then I have to take off my channel locks. And I'm going to just try to do a regular tie by going fast. By pressing down here. Okay. And now I'll take this off and hold the ruler. Everything still looks good. I'm happy with that. Famous last words. Okay. And I wanted to put my pinky on this, actually. Not my pinky, my ring finger. Here we go. Okay, I'm right on. And boy, look how tight that got. Geez, that's pretty near perfect. Cutting it a little close. Okay, so I was right on. Let's see how I'm lined up though. Again, it feels like I still need to slide it to the right. Yeah, something must be off there. So, and you can see I'm touching over here, but I probably need to pivot this one because see the red is a bigger space than there. So let me pivot that up a hair. And now this side is touching the side of the valley. This row is touching the side of the valley. Okay. Now I really got my ring finger down there. It actually feels better on my thumb when my hands are spread apart more. And it looks like my camera is not getting my entire hand. Okay, let's try that. Oh, I'm touching. Wow. That was pretty close. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's a little too close for comfort, but it does look so good. I hate to say it, but it makes me a little nervous. Okay. It's looking good. Looking real good. Let's take a look at it. Aw, it's cute. I like the spacing. I like everything. It's really cute. I wish I could do this. I mean, this is a little problem there. That's where I begin again. You can see I have a little problem. And like there's where I began again. But what are you gonna do? I really like it. Oh, that would look so pretty on my quilt. Even the wider ones would look pretty. Oh, let's see if it's 70, it's like 75. If these were an inch apart or an inch and a quarter, I mean, 75 rows, maybe 65. If I make it, you know, these are slightly wider than an inch. That's a lot of rows. It would take me a long time because I'd have to take a lot of breaks. Now I could make them, let's see. No, well, the wider one would be up a quarter, so these would be tighter. So I could make them farther apart. But I didn't want to go any farther. I mean, that one up there that I thought was 1 3/4, it was actually 2 inches. I don't know. I keep changing my mind. I'm just having fun experimenting, to be honest. Okay, so from here we go 1 1/4 inches on the lowest part. So 1 1/4 inches. And then line this up so it's straight. And I have marks here. It looks like I can pivot a hair. And then I'm gonna see if I need to roll my machine. Yeah, I do. Okay. So 1 1/4 inches. And then butt this up. And put the channel lock on. Horizontal. Get rid of this. Do my tie. Grab my ruler. Now here I don't have really much to go on except for this gap up here. So let's see what that gap is. Let's do it this way. It's a heavy half, that's for sure. So if I look down here, that's not a heavy half. So I'd have to hold this pivot against the foot and just slightly pivot it down. So let's see. I'm a heavy half there, so this one should be good then. Yeah, it's actually more. Yeah. Remember, my piecing is a little irregular down here. So we're going to go with that. And remember to take off your channel locks. I got my ring finger now here again. See how we do. Okay, overshot it. I'm going to try to not make a bobble here when I continue. So let's see. And I'm going to try not to press against it. So there's my heavy half. There it's heavy there. Well, there I can't do it because I don't have a full peak there. I guess that's about right. This one looks like I can pivot it slightly. We're going to go with that. And again, I'm putting my ring finger there. I did better on my starting. Yeah, that helps me get all the way to the end by putting my ring finger there. Okay. Yeah, my start is better. Vertical. Vertical off. Oh, I messed that up. I pulled out way too much. Okay. But yeah, you can kind of see that here. Let me zoom in. I didn't do too bad right there when I restarted. That might just be a needle hole. So that's good. Now I'm back to this camera. So now we just put the wave ruler on and slide it. And again, we don't have much to go on here. So, might have to go to the other camera. We'll see. Let's see. So I'm seeing my stitching. I can see, I can eyeball this kind of. It looks pretty much the same. That looks like a quarter. Yeah, it's a quarter there. Quarter. That one is, are these heavy quarters? This one really isn't. Well, I guess it is a little bit. It's good, I guess. Oh, I can't believe it. You're probably all screaming at me. I have to slide it. I forgot to slide it, which means this has to move up. So I'm just gonna let it stay where it's at vertically, and I'm gonna put on my vertical channel lock and just slide it up because I know I'm gonna end up here higher. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, I forgot to slide it, dummy. Okay, so we're watching here and kind of up here to make sure we stay straight. So here we go. Okay. That's about a 1/2 inch. I'm hitting there, I'm hitting there, I'm hitting there, kind of. Let's check our 1/4 inch. We kind of got tighter now. Well, let's see, this Scant though, I'm kind of happy with it. I don't really want to move it down too much. Tight 1/4. That one's tight. And let me zoom out. Oh, I have to go to the other camera. The one I hate. Okay. So we got a tight 1/4 there, tight 1/4 here. And it looks like my Scant, if I even put this up here, you could see you have a Scant 1/4. So we should be fine. We're not going to bang into that stitching. I should have used that before, right? Okay, so now we want to be, you know, needle up, needle down. Now I'm up against the ruler where I'm supposed to be. Now I can stitch. And I forgot to take off my channel locks, or my vertical channel locks. Okay. Oh, that's pretty wide. That's tighter. I am all over the board. Okay, I overshot it a hair, but that one's, it's not bad. It's kind of wide. Okay, I'm hitting, the row is hitting the stitching. There it's hitting. That doesn't look like a Scant. Yeah, that's exactly a 1/4, so that's gonna touch. I'm gonna pivot it just a hair. I just want to be consistent. Watch, it'll probably be too much. Okay, here we go. Oh boy, I was touching. Now, wasn't that the one where I said I was gonna, did I say I was gonna move it up, you know, slant this up? And then because when I measured it, wasn't that a 1/4 and I moved it up to be a Scant? Obviously, I didn't move it up enough, but it's good enough. It's still beautiful. Oh, this is so pretty. So pretty. I wish it weren't on this old sheet. Okay. Well, we got 1 or 2 more rows. So we're going to go 1 1/4 inches. From there. And it looks like my 2 has got like 1/8 of an inch. So let me pivot that up over here on this side. I'm right on. Okay, let's bring this around. Oh, but I bet I have to roll it again. I do. Darn it. Should have rolled it before. My rock on. All right. So we'll come over. We'll put our channel lock on. get rid of this. This is my vertical right here. It's this one. So we'll take this then and we'll line it up, butt it up against the foot. And now I do have some things down here to look at, but okay, so this one is the one we want to go off of. I try to keep that lined up. Too bad it doesn't go all the way down. But this is, you know, I can see a little bit of the thread there. I don't know how good the focus is. So that's what I want to see here. And here and here. Get my fingers in place. Take off my channel locks. This is the one where I already made my ties. The first one. It's the second one where you have to make your tie up against the ruler. Here we go. Really overshot that one. Okay. Let's pivot it to look down here. That's good enough. Stretch my fingers out. Okay, I am doing better with my transitions. So we'll do our vertical channel lock, do our tie. Take that off. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that one looks pretty good. It really does look good. So now this one, we just take the ruler and line it up and remember to slide it this time. And I'm going to have to put my channel lock because obviously I need to level my machine. Okay, so I can see my threads more this time because I don't want to be touching. I think I'm seeing them more. But down here, like you can see that I have this gap there. And that's, you know, pretty small. It's a scant quarter. But these are an eighth. So obviously I don't have enough of my thread showing. I have to push this up a little. Well, quite a bit actually. But then this is really going to be off. I don't know if I should go by the bottom. Well, I don't know. You know, because fabric shifts, the tops don't look bad. There's, I don't know, it looks like I didn't stitch that right. But yeah, I think it's up too high right here. So I think I'm going to go with that. So things aren't straight. Unless I'm being deceived there. Maybe, you know how when you do your corners, you sometimes pull the corner farther because it's kind of biasy here. Maybe that's my problem. I don't know. I mean, this is wider than that, but well, let's slide it and see. So I'm just going to look up here. Okay. And that one is kind of touching. Let's see if I just pivoted this up a hair. Well, that just makes this even bigger. This is pretty small there. Take off these channel locks. Yeah, I'm really far away from it. I mean, not bad. It's a heavy 16th. So I can slide it a smidget. Well, no, that just put me closer. I slid it down. That's going to put me closer. Not too much, though. So these are all pretty much touching. Let's see. I never checked this one. Yeah, this one is going to be far away. No, it's a 16th as well. So I'm going to go with that. So, and this is the one where I have to take the rock then, unless I want to readjust again. I need a better rock. I have a ton of them. So let me bring this over here on the vertical, up against the ruler, and put my channel lock on, just so I can pull up my thread. Okay, now we can feed it under. I'll kind of start in the back, maybe. There we go. I got my bobbin thread. Needle down. And now is where I have to hold it tight, take off my channel lock. Oh, I was going to feed this under. Try to hold that thread and do my tie. So I'm going to go left. Oh, come on. Okay. Hold my ruler. Let's zoom out. Okay. Still touching the sides. Stretch my hand because it really hurts. Channel locks are off. I overshot it like crazy. Not bad, pretty darn close. Okay, so let's put that there, even though I overshot it. Like I said, my ruler's off or something. So I'm kind of touching there, not really. I'm going to slide it a hair. And now I'm touching in both places. I see my scant quarter. I see it there. Don't want to ignore that part, even though I have been. Okay, here we go. I was touching. I touched on that one. This one I got close. Oh well. What are you gonna do? It still looks beautiful. Vertical channel lock, tie off. I'll take them off. I could have left them on until I did this, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Do I, I don't think there's enough room to do another one because I I mean, this measures 1 1/4. I could kind of put that point on the lowest point. So, you know, if I bring the foot up against there, so let me grab the other one. 1 1/4. Up here, I'm kind of, where's the seam line? Seam line is like 1/8 of an inch above this. And I can move it over here. So if I tried to do something, I don't know how I could. Let me put my channel lock on, at least. Get rid of this. At least to see what's going on. Maybe I would just do the top one, you know. Let's see. Do our tie just for the heck of it. Okay. I hate that because then, you know, you should go to the back. So yeah, if I put this one on, yeah, I guess it is gonna get up there. So where is it at? Like, you know, I don't even have anything to measure over here. So, I mean, you figure, I can kind of guesstimate if this distance here, I could see this stitching is halfway between the 2 rows. You want, you know, you want it to be consistent all the way down. Then you kind of know you're on. So it looks kind of consistent all the way down. So I guess we could try that. Now I'm at the lowest point, so I don't think I need to roll. Oh, do I? Well, here's the end of my ruler base, and let me check back here. Oh, it's pretty tight. Let me put the rock on here. Hopefully it won't move. I gotta remove some pins here. Oh yeah, I'm all crooked now. Oh, you know why? Because my channel locks were on and it wouldn't move. Ugh, I hate when I do that. I screwed it up. Okay, so I'm halfway. When it doesn't move real good, like I was rolling it and it did seem tight, that's your first clue that your channel locks are on. God. Okay. It's really tilting because I'm half on fabric and half on batting. So it's kind of a pain. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I might have to be more on top, be more cognizant of putting it on top because you don't want this thing to tilt up. So, yeah, I'm a little nervous about this one. All right, let's try it. No channel locks are on. Okay, I'm right on there. I guess I am getting this row in. Okay, so I was right in the middle of the 2 rows. Yeah, I don't know. I think I have to put my thumb on top because that's pretty scary there. Probably the whole thing is going to move. Yeah, it moved a little at the end, but that's okay. Let's do a needle up, down, tie. This time I'll leave them on to do this. It just makes it easier to get in the right spot. And so, yeah, so we're going to get that other row in. So put my channel locks on, not the vertical, the horizontal. So we'll line this up. And now let's see if I want to see the stitching. Okay. Well, I don't know. I got too close up in here, I think. I don't know. Let's just see. Do we have any guides? I have an 1/8 inch there and there. And I'm lined up vertically, and let's slide it. Okay. Keeping my 1/8 of an inch here and here. That looks, I'm going to use this instead of bringing the foot over. See how that's a full quarter. And so I need to bring this up. I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up a hair. Maybe pivot it a little because this one was down. Maybe that was the problem. Let me try it now. I mean, it's a scant. I guess I have to bring this over. Oh, I just pushed it down. Yeah, it's hard to work on the edge here. If I press it with my thumb. Oh yeah, that's just a little too close. Let's move this back. It almost looks like I'm a heavy half here. Maybe I came too far because you know how these lines are kind of going overboard. So let me move it back a hair. Because when you move it back, this gets more scant. And now that looks like a 1/2 inch there. So yeah, now when I measure it, well, it's a 1/16, a tight 1/16. So I've got my 1/8 there. Let me see what this measures. It is a scant quarter. I like it when it's like that. So we're going to go with it. Hopefully I won't touch. So this is where I take my rock. Put my channel lock on so that I can get my bobbin thread. I always move. I did it again. I'm so funny. I do the same thing every time. Oh, I should have cut those because I can't see what I'm doing. I have to get the bobbin thread first. Duh. Okay. Yeah, and I hit it again. Oh, well. It's just pivoting. So I'll go ahead and try to bring it around. I got all of them now. I'll flatten it out. I'll do a needle down, take off my channel locks, and I'll do a tie, remove the rock. Okay, am I still lined up? I got an eighth, an eighth. I'm on the sides there. My scant looks good. Get my fingers in position because remember the channel locks came off because I had to do the tie. I'm going to put my thumb on. Oh, that kind of feels a little better. My hand is stretched out now. Now I want to stretch it. Okay, here we go. Oh, I think I got a cramp from that. I overshot that. That one was pretty good. This one was pretty close there. Where am I at? Yeah, I'm here. And let's see, I got it like an eighth, but I want to see this row touching. Let me pivot a little. Okay. So this row and this row are touching just barely, but my scant is pretty scant. What is that? A piece of thread in there? Oh, I never cut that. Well, now I'm off. Yeah, that scant is, it's more scant than normal, but I kind of think I like that. I mean, if I, let's see if I slide it more or pivot it down. We're going to go with that. It's going to be probably a bigger gap, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to put my hand down on it. Oh, gosh. Pretty close. Pretty darn close. Wow. Okay. Boy, good thing this wasn't any bigger. So there you go. You can see I'm got pretty close. This one was far away, so I'm not sure if I just was pushing on it too much with the ruler, you know, at the start. So, yeah. So let's see if I can zoom out. That is so pretty. I just love it so much. But, you know, it's really hard to use rulers that much. And this is just a little project. God, what is it? Like 12 by 12? But it's just so pretty. So pretty. Well, so now I know how to do the thin ones. And I also did the thicker ones. So if I do the thick ones, because I already did one of the serpentine rows. the first serpentine row over here on this one. I can show you how I slide it and how I line it up because you know it's different. So for thick leaves, it says align the first row of the ruler peak. So the first row of the ruler peak, this is the peak, this is the first row. Align that with the previous peak. So we're not lining the edge with the previous peak, but we're lining the first row with the previous peak. So this row to this peak. I can't really see it that well. Let's make sure it's lined up here as well. And I have some sort of a gauge here. This gap, it's not consistent. Oh, I'm not lined up vertically here either. Well, it doesn't matter. This has to be lined up. So I've got this last row is almost on the seam line. Here it's not, but it's good enough. But to slide it to the right, it says slide the ruler right till the vertical line, second row of peak. So we're looking at this little teeny intersection right here. We want that to hit the side of the valley. And that's a movement of about 3/4 of an inch to the right. So it's a farther movement to get this to hit there. And you can kind of see, you know, it is about 3/4 of an inch. So from like, let's see, from this point to here to the side, you know, the side of the valley is about a 3/4 inch movement. So let's go for it. Let's try to maybe keep this on as well. So let's keep an eye on that dot there. Not dot, but and slide it. I have to pick it up a little because it's sandpaper now. So it looks like I'm about an inch though before I hit it. You can see our leaf here is wider and it's going to be a 1/4 inch wider than that. But as far as, you know, my scant quarter here, my stitching is right here. Like it's really close to the ruler. So I guess if I wanted it to be closer, I could slide it down here. Or I could leave it up there. Let me put these back on. And then, like I was saying, looks like I moved it too far. Because that's more than 3/4. Let me move it back. That looks like it's about 3/4. And this is just hitting the side. So these aren't hitting the side yet, but actually that made it narrower. Okay, so that wasn't the ticket. So let me move it back to where it's on the line. This and the line are kind of intersecting. The stitching line and the vertical and this row, all three are intersecting. And this is on the seam line. It's not on the seam line there, so let me pivot it up. Yeah, I'm going to have a big gap there. Let me see. I mean, you might not be able to see that. I mean, I don't even see the stitching under there. Oh, it's there. It's not a scant. It's quite less. It's like a 16th or almost an eighth less than a quarter. So let me bring the foot over. And if I dial down and try to look, oh, actually, see, this thread is hard to see. It's actually fine. It's about a tight eighth of an inch away. So we're good. All these intersections are good. So then I'll dial it back up, zoom back out. I'll bring this over and butt it up against the ruler. I should have put the rock on it first before I tried butting it, but I'll put the rock on. And I kind of can't see that well. So I'm going to put my channel lock on just to pull this up, but I need more thread. And I almost did it again. Needle down, needle up. And there we go. We got our bobbin thread. Needle down, channel lock off, and got to do our tie. Press down, channel locks are off, and okay, rock is off. Now this is a longer run. Am I still lined up? Pretty much. So okay, here we go. Okay, come on. Okay. Okay, so I overshot it a little. Oh, beautiful. Let me turn the light off. See if you can see it. Oh, that's better. With it behind me. Then we get shadows. That's really pretty. That's the way I like it for these big ones. And on the linen, that looks really good. So whatever I did, I don't know. So we'll line it up again. Check this up here. And let's see, these were on the last row, and the seam line were kind of matching. And I really don't have much of a scant quarter showing. So yeah, I don't have anything showing there. That's going to be a big gap. If I slide it more, yeah, it's still big. If I pivot it, yeah, then I'm going to be really off at, on this end. I'm going to just go with it. Okay, let me bring it down a little bit. Yeah, there's going to be a big gap there, but what can you do? Okay, here we go. Oh, I guess it's not bad. I mean, it's slightly bigger, but it's not bad. I'll show you when we... It's really perfect. You know what I'm thinking. Probably just getting used to, you know, going from one to the other. So I'm lining these up with the line. This second row I thought was supposed to be there. That would be really overshot. Yeah, I'm not sure. Wait, the bottom row was lined up with the seam. I think I'm getting a little confused between the two, because I thought we're always looking at our intersection or our spot that wants to hit the side of the valley, and mine is way off shooting it. Like it's supposed to be on the line like that. I don't think I overshot it that much. And I don't see hardly any of this line. I can see a tiny bit of it. So I'm a little baffled right now. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna go with it and see what I did wrong. I don't know. I'll probably never figure that one out. Oh, I overshot that. Yeah, that one was bigger, but it still looks good. Okay. So now, I'll try to line this up here. This is good. Here, I don't really have much there, but again, you can see how this is overshot. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Not sure. So I got these two to look at on the seam line there. I'm just gonna go for it. Okay, all right, that wasn't bad. You know, as tricky as this linen is to work with, it's so beautiful. I can't describe it. I can see why it's a healing fabric, because it's just lovely. It really is. And this isn't even 100% linen. This is the 55 linen, 40 cotton, I think. It's beautiful. This is the Robert Kaufman. So, yeah, so that's how you do those. They're very pretty, very pretty. Now with this one, you can see these are tighter, so everything looks a little irregular. So this is the row these are real tight together, and then these are farther apart. And then above it, they're farther, just like this one. These two are the same. And then this is the big wide one. So since I made one like this here, probably my next row should match the wide one up here. And so I'd have a wide one and then maybe one more, just to make it look consistent. So I have these. And then I have this one that's just, you know, 1 inch apart, the same waves, but just straight 1 inch apart, but I tried to mimic them, most of it. There's only ruler work here, every 5th row. This might have been a ruler, well, I don't know. It kind of looks like it was. And then, yeah, I don't know. I can't tell. So you have that, and then you have these that we just did. Lighten that up a hair. And then there's these. These are just so much more beautiful. Even this one being inconsistent throughout. Like I was saying, I'd probably put, you know, since I've got, these are medium, these were the 1.5. This is narrow. This is wide. So then down here I should put a wide one. So I can have that on my quilt, or I can have these. I don't know about these. Or I can have just that. See, now that looks like rickrack to me compared to this. It's all relative. Like once you've done it, now I like this one, I think. And I can even make them farther apart too by lining up with, you know, a different part of the ruler. When I line it up with the bottom wave, instead of lining it up with this first row, let's see, I could line it up with the second row and the second row and still slide it but slide it till what? Till, because remember I've just got that row down. Okay, so I line it up with the second row. If I look at this or this, I think it's this one. So the valley, the first row, the valley hits the side here. So when that hits the side there, you can see the previous stitching is right, you know, not the previous, but the second serpentine that's already here is right along the edge of the ruler. So the one I stitch then will be 1/4 inch bigger than that. So that'll be a really big, you know, a big leaf, so to speak, in here. So then there's really not going to be, this gap here is going to be bigger. So, well, it'll be 1/4 inch bigger, probably. In which case, like, this spacing is probably going to be too small. So I'd have to go to this bigger spacing if I did that. And then the quilt would get done faster if I did that and just made bigger leaves. But they wouldn't look like little leaves anymore, little teardrops or whatever going the wrong way. They would just look like waves that are offset, which in and of itself would be pretty. So you know, should I try that down here? I don't want to because I don't want to ruin this now, even though I don't know what I'm doing with it. So there's just so much you can do with this. And I've just touched the surface. I really like it. And I like how small it is. So there you go, guys. Boy, this is quite a journey. Quite a journey. All right. Well, I think I've used up all my camera, my battery, my throat. I need some water. Well, feel free to let me know which one you like best. I think I'm leaning towards this. It's just so beautiful. All right. Well, we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.